is around $907 billion of annual digital investment committed annually for the particular year of 2016-2017. And they expected also, surprisingly, 2 years of the ROI, which is a return of investment, for the AU and Singapore region, which is wow. If you're in a business, 2 years ROI is fantastic.
The number one thing around IoT and actually making this stuff meaningful is getting it ubiquitous in everything. So you need it cheap and you need a lot of them. What cloud platforms do is let you not have to pay for the usual millions of dollars of infrastructure you would have to fork out for to be able to do that. Most of the IoT interfaces are little more than information gateways. They receive some sort of API call, they process that simple piece of information and then pass it on to something meaningful. These seats confessing where everybody's sitting, all that they're going to do is send some sort of JSON string, which is literally just a text string. It might have something as simple as the seat number. It sends it through to Amazon or Azure. The API gateway collects that information based on some sort of query or other identifying information. It sends that through to something in the back end. The IoT service is really just a simple gateway mechanism to get the device data through to something to process it, and then if it needs to, get it back out to another machine.
The middle bit is the interesting bit, which, according to Dave, it's $1 million investment there. It's basically all the processing on all the analytics and management there. Or you want to throw some fancy bit, you can throw some machine learning there, or Cortana that can talk to your Power BI, for example. So what's the difference? Really, it's really the same. So when David's talking about the S3, so we can put that in Azure, which is basically a blob storage. And the analytics, you can use also the big data, Hadoop also, and you can use Azure machine learning instead of, for example, AWS machine learning. And we have some of the identity and registry stores there. It's really important.
Some of the things that IoT leverages that have really made it a thing that we can do today. In the past, it just wasn't feasible to be able to roll out enough devices to make it meaningful, particularly in the consumer space. The devices had to get cheap. They had to start talking a common standard protocol. So it's either HTTP or HTTPS. Being able to talk on an internet language with a broad set of internet provider backbones has gotten rid of all of the grief from the networking side of things. Cloud platforms enable people to do bulk transactions at very, very low prices. Security, that's probably the number one thing that everybody sees at the moment about IoT devices. Security is one of the first things that goes as soon as you've got to get cheap, and that's not different from any other piece of IT infrastructure.
We need to understand the security for the IoT mainly, and also for our platform obviously, is a joint responsibility between these roles that I can see. If you think about security, you're thinking about the threats. So if you're thinking about the threats, you're thinking about how do we attack it? What is the attack vectors? And if you already think about the attack vectors, then you can think of how to mitigate this.
Probably some of the simplest things that people should consider when it comes to securing devices, which they don't, is yes, it needs to be on the internet. No, it doesn't have to be listening on the internet. If the device can only call out, at least you know nobody's going to pick you up on the internet and call in like they usually do and hack your device. So that'd be like the number one thing our industry could do at the moment to increase security. One of the number one things that people want to do with all the inbound data is basically the processing. In the past, the cost was too high to try it out. One of the services that, probably pretty much one of the first services that gateways like Amazon IoT is going to give you is access to compute. So once all that data is coming in, if you want to get the analytics or answers or actions out of that, it's just cheap entry points to compute.